everybody, and welcome to my first walkthrough of FrostPunk. If you're unfamiliar with FrostPunk, it's a city builder type game set in a dystopian universe where everything has frozen. Humanity has collapsed, and we are trying to create a city to survive the frozen wasteland. So I thought I would just run through this, show you guys what's up with FrostPunk, and see if you guys want to buy it. So I'm just going to start with a new home scenario. It's the main story. It's where everybody was starting. And since I'm kind of familiar with it already, I'm just going to start on hard. But I'm just going to do a breakdown of this mode and all of the basics that are associated with this game. So without further ado, let's get started.
We roam the still, cold world. No horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped of pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress. Until the frost stopped it all. Suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow, and with it, our last traces of humanity. We bid farewell to plenty, and for those who remained, came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We roamed for weeks, maybe months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope that pushed us forward. Slowly, step by step. We knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
A new home. We fled from London and crossed the sea to reach the frozen north. On the way, our convoy was hit by a blizzard and scattered. A handful of us managed to reach the site of this generator, only to find it frozen solid and abandoned. Why is no one here? Did any of our people survive the blizzard, or are there any others out there? Whatever we do, we should expect the worst now that the world as we know it has crumbled. We have to survive. Just as a little anecdote, the voice actor who did the voiceover of that cinematic is the same actor who played Emil in the game Valiant Hearts by Ubisoft. Another amazing game. If this goes well, I might play that game too. Alright, so let's get started in this. Okay. So, the biggest thing about this game, and what makes it more unique, is this idea of fighting the cold and staying warm, protecting your people, protecting your buildings from the cold, because if they get too cold, then people start dying and the buildings no longer work. So let's see, we need to get the generator working. It provides heat and power to the other buildings. Without it, we'll freeze to death. Stockpile some coal and start the generator. Alright, so I'm just going to start with a brief overview of what's happening here. At the top, you have all of your resources. Every single one of them is just as important. We start with coal, which powers our generators, and you'll see it'll power some other things later. Wood, which builds all of our buildings. Steel, which also builds some of our expert buildings. Steam cores, which are drastically important because they create limited use buildings that are more powerful than what you can create from just steel and wood. Then we have our raw food, and in order to actually use our raw food, we have to turn it into food rations through a cookhouse. Okay, so that's what's at the top. You have the pause button because it's a city builder. The play, you have fast game speed and very fast game speed. And then you also have this big temperature overlay. You could set it to Fahrenheit or Celsius, it doesn't really matter. But this number is very important. You want to exercise restraint when using your coal, but you have to make sure that your buildings and your people survive, so this is a very important and probably the most critical point of this entire game. Then you have this timeline here, which sometimes will show you exactly when the temperature is going to decrease, so you can prepare yourself for that. Alright, and then down at the bottom left we have our objectives for the game. So first we have to stockpile some coal, so we got 0 out of 200, and we have to turn this generator on. So this is the generator. Okay, then moving on to the middle we have the construction tab. So this is how you construct all your buildings. You have the people, health, food, resources, and tech. Okay, and you can also build streets, build roads, take away streets, and dismantle buildings. And then we have, in the middle here, we have our Discontent tab and our Hope tab. These are also vitally important. If your city is very discontent with you, as the mayor of this little town, they will reach a point where you have to lower the discontent or you lose the game. So yeah, that's a very important. So, you know, you want to do what you can to survive the cold, so you might push your citizens harder than normally, and you might try to do things that they don't like in order to try to survive, but that could also cost you the game. So it's very hard. And hope, it's not as drastic as discontent. It doesn't help you that much, but it does lower discontent the more hope that you have. Okay, then we have the Book of Laws. This is also important. So the first thing we have is adaptation. So you can pick and choose which laws you want to first set, and obviously there's different branchings depending on what you decide to choose. This is very important. Yeah, we'll go over that later. Okay, and then the last thing over here, you have economy. It shows you the efficiency of stuff. This is more if you want to get analytical into how well you're organizing your city. And then you have the unemployed and the employed tab. So this will show you how many workers you have to use, how many engineers you have to use, and also how many children you have to use. So right now it's saying prohibited because you haven't unlocked in the Book of Laws child labor, which actually I'm going to do right now because I love child labor. It's amazing. I would highly recommend child labor, both in the game and outside the game. Don't quote me on that. So engineers, they are the specialty civilians, which will only work in well, they can work anywhere, but workshops can only use engineers along with medical posts and other technical buildings. Workers can work anywhere, and children, well, you can specialize them, but I normally stick with the safe jobs, but you can change it to all jobs if you wanted to. Yep, so that's about it. Alright, so if you want to get started, let's start by stockpiling some coal. So what you can do is you can just click on the stockpiles over here. So at the beginning of the game there are going to be these piles of wood and steel and coal that you can just click on, and you can assign people to bring that back and put it into the stockpiles. So I'm going to start off with coal because coal, we need to get this generator up and running. And then I also need wood because we need to create buildings. So wood is really important in the early stages, but so is coal. So I'm going to start off with getting a lot of wood and a little bit of steel because we need steel for those expert buildings. Alright, well, let's get started here. So first I'm going to start off, speed things up so I can show you exactly what we're doing. So first I'm actually going to start off with a cookhouse because people get hungry. So I'm going to place that there. And obviously you can place your buildings wherever you want, but it has to be connected into a road in order to work. So, and everything costs wood. Okay. So we're going to start off with a cookhouse. And then I'm going to try to get a workshop going so I can explain the technical aspect of this game. So then I'm going to start with a workshop back there. Alright. Now when the citizens are free, they'll be able to work on these buildings and they'll construct them. You can see exactly who is working or manning these buildings when it's done. And it's kind of cool. Like, this game is very detailed. You can just click on any little random person and it'll tell you exactly what's happening about them. You can rename them, exactly, you can click to select the location. It's a pretty cool thing. And you got these little tutorial things that'll show you how to do it, which is awesome. If you're just starting out, it shows you how to do all these things, which I just explained. Alright. I love this game, it's so detailed. Let's get moving on a little bit here. Alright. Then I'm also going to start off with a medical post, because people like to freeze to death. Oh, also, your citizens, every once in a while you get these little pop-up alerts. Something will happen. So, no roof over our heads. Captain, people are understandably concerned about the lack of shelter. They're falling ill from sleeping outside in the terrible cold. We better do something about it. Yeah, I guess I'll provide shelter for everybody. I don't know why. Like, what's the big deal sleeping in the cold? Alright, well, let's start off. So we got the medical center, we've got the workshop and the cookhouse, so those are gonna go. We also need a hunter's hut, because that's how we're gonna get our raw food in the early stages of the game. So we'll start with the hunter's hut. And let's see what I can do about some homes here. Houses. Excuse me. Alright. And then let's start this generator. So the generator has a bunch of different levels. Obviously the lowest one uses the least amount of coal and produces the least amount of heat. Same with the range. You know, obviously as the range gets larger, you use more coal and so on and so forth. So let's just take it through the night. Okay, the generator hums with reassuring warmth, but we shouldn't take it for granted. If the generator goes down, the city dies. Be mindful of coal reserves. Now food, there will be no city if we start with this. Secure a way to provide raw food. Okay, so this is the first day. Looks like we got something else. The wisdom of the crowd. Captain, when facing demands, remember this. People usually look for the quickest solution, not the best one. You don't have to agree to everything they ask of you. If you fix the problem your way, it's fine. So that actually is a good point, because discontent is really a big deal. So if you don't fulfill their needs, and you have a time frame for when you say you're going to do something, so I have a day and 22 hours to fulfill that. Okay, so yeah, it's a big deal, because if you don't fulfill this need, if you say you will, then discontent will rise. If you say you'll do nothing, discontent will rise a little bit. But if you promise to do something and don't fulfill it, then discontent will rise a lot. Okay, so make sure you try to get those done, because you do not want to lose this game just by people not liking you. Okay. Alright, so let's just start by taking some children off the coal and put them into work in the cookhouse, so we can get some food going for our people. And we shall take some workers out and put them in the food, because we need food. We're going to run out of food very quickly. Alright, so now we need to find... I don't know where I put the engineers. There they are. Okay, so we'll take like 7 out, so I'm going to put 5 in the workshop and 2 in the medical post for people who get sick. Okay, now let's just explain the workshop real quick. The workshop, you have a technology tree that you can decide to choose from. So you start with the heating tab, so you have a steam hub as the first start, and then you have heaters. Then we have the exploration tab, the buildings, or the beacon, which allows you to go out into the world and gets us some supplies and stuff. And I'll explain these more as we go on, or if you want me to do more. And then we have the resource tab. So once these stockpiles run out, which they will very rapidly, you need to create these buildings in order to actually get steel, wood, and coal. Okay, and then we also have the food and shelter tab. So the first thing we can do is hunter's gear, which increases the raw food from 13 to 18. And that's about it for our first day. If you guys found this interesting and want me to continue, let me know. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great day.